What is going on, everyone? Happy Friday. It's Forest Friday. And it's Sin City Friday. Welcome back. My name is David. I'll be one of your hosts today. And today, like every single day, we're coming at you live from our studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada with our daily live show. Today, we have our man Forrest on. We're going to look at charts. We're going to talk about why hasn't crypto completely collapsed yet. Some more fallout from FTX. We also have some Cardano news. We have a lot of news. And so before we can get into the news, I have to, unfortunately, introduce you to your other co-host, Big Rob. What's up?
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're an entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take the old, the boring, the stale information and package it up in a fun and sexy way. Bitcoin, 16.5. Same spot it was yesterday. What do you know? And same spot as the day before. Do you think this is the new 3-month sideways action for Bitcoin?
No.
We were there for quite some time with 20K.
You know, I wish we had someone who was a master of charts. Oh, we do have someone who's a master of charts. Forrest will be joining us in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, guys. We're stoked. We haven't had Forrest on for about a week and a half. So
we miss you.
We miss you, Forrest. Awesome. So I want to start the show off with a little fun, okay? Just some humor, just to get our mojo going a little bit, okay? And so I found this video on Tweeters, and it says, you know, the gentleman on your left, the young man with a hat, is the trader, and then the person driving is the 2022 crypto market. And here's what it's been like this year. And put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Sell it. No, I'm not selling. What are you doing? Stop being weird. Man. Yeah, so
That was me last week, right?
shorts a lot of Oh man, guys, you know, it's okay to laugh every once in a while. So put a 1 in the chat. I thought that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. Robin, do you think that was funny?
It was. I feel like that's us prepping the show as well.
It's every day. Guys, we did post a little short members clip of when we hit 5K, the stream we hit 5K afterwards. So if you're a paying member of this channel, first and foremost, thank you so much for supporting us. Just a little tidbit for you guys to watch. If you're not a member of the channel, you want to support us, there's a link in the description. So feel free. All right. So let's get into, we do have some, of course, we do have some FTX news, and we're not going to make the whole show about FTX moving forward. But of course, if there's any pertinent news that we figure you guys should know is
FTX
important.
blows something else up, we will make it the whole show again. But at this point, I think they've already blown up enough, and I doubt that'll happen.
There is more fallout. So you remember, Rob, the whole FTX got hacked. The hacker is now the 35th largest holder of ETH. You will guess who that is?
Crazy to me.
Guess who that is?
Who is it?
It's the Bahamian government. They ordered SBF to hack FTX. So crazy.
Do you believe that? I have.
Well,
this is so much,
Robin.
so much.
They confirmed it.
I understand the government confirmed it, but
I mean,
this just smells,
bro.
of
If
fake
a
news,
government confirmed it, unless the government is in Sam Bankman-Fried's pockets, which
he set up shop in the Bahamas, right? He set up shop in the Bahamas. How much money do you think the Bahamas, the Bohemian government made?
I mean, now they're sitting on a lot
Off of them being there from start to finish.
I mean,
they probably made so much money. So at the time to exit, what do you think? Hey, he's like, hey man, U.S. is on my back, bro. We'll send you some Ethereum, and you let us get out of here scot free. You know, print us up some new passports. You know, or why don't we build a safe house? Or, I'm telling you, man, you're the conspiracy guy here.
Guy. I'm the guy.
And you don't think something's fishy?
Okay, look. To be fair, and
you're telling me that a government hacked a bankrupt.
They ordered it. They ordered.
That's what I'm saying. You're in this camp that the Bahamas just was like, hey, it's a good time to hack a company right now. Like,
look. I don't mean this as a slight, okay? But the amount of ETH that the Bahamas Security Commission holds now is probably close to what their entire GDP is. I'm just saying. But either way,
Do you have any facts behind that?
I don't. I really don't. That's just my
Guys, do you
assessment.
think that any government has any money in FTX in general? Not just the United States.
No.
Why not?
What do you mean? Why not?
Just asking. Why not?
Maybe Italy does.
I mean, Ukraine was
Well, we-
keeping the those donation funds
Yeah, that's true.
supposedly, and
Well, the U.S.
in
definitely
FTX.
did. Well, maybe Gary Gensler did. So let's get back to the facts here, or what the Bahamian government's saying is fact. So, after ordering the FTX hack, the Bahamian agency is now one of the world's largest ETH holders. The authorities ordered Sam Bankman-Fried to transfer hundreds of millions of dollars of crypto from FTX to a wallet controlled by the Securities Commission of the Bahamas. The commission confirmed it ordered the transfer in a Thursday press release, and they said it was for, quote, safekeeping. Blockchain security firm Biosin estimates that the Bahamian authority holds over $330 million in Ether, making it the 35th largest ETH whale. So Rob obviously thinks there's some weird stuff going on. Again, guys, I said this all week. Nothing would surprise me right now. Nothing. It wouldn't surprise me if Sam Bankman-Fried got these guys in their pockets. It wouldn't be surprise me if they cut a deal on the back end. It wouldn't surprise me. Is it probable? In my opinion, no. But again, wouldn't surprise me.
You know what does surprise me? The fact that we only got 30 likes in this video. What the hell are y'all doing, bro?
Man?
Hit the like button.
Está unacceptables. Not sure
Is
what
that-
language that was, but it was a language.
Was it
There
Bohemian?
was no language.
It was not a Bohemian language. All right. So a couple more things that kind of fell off from, or the fallout from FTX. So we have Vald. They were already in hot water. They have $10 million stuck on FTX. Troubled Asian crypto lender Vald has funds stuck in the now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX. The exposure is worth around $10 million. The FTX exposure is the latest blow for Vald, which halted client withdrawals in July and owes over $400 million to its creditors. Vald has until January 20th to sort out its financial issues, having received another credit protection extension last week. Vald has been discussing a potential deal with rival Nexo since July. Now, here's where it kind of gets interesting. At the time, Nexo entered into a 60-day exclusive due diligence agreement with Vald to potentially acquire it, but it has extended the due diligence period twice. Why would they extend it twice, right? In July, they originally got into this and they've extended it twice. And so, I mean, am I jumping to conclusions and saying maybe at the time Nexo thought they can do it, but with everything going on, they kind of might be in some hot water here? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know, man.
I mean, we
don't
saw
know.
Binance come back with their due diligence in a day, right? And this has been over 4 months.
What do you
4
know?
months.
What do you know about Vald?
Not much. I know they were in Asia. I know what this. Not sure how many clients they have, but obviously $400 million is not a small chunk of change. What do you know about Vald?
I don't know anything about Vald.
What do you guys know about Vald? In the chat, help us out here. We haven't done a deep dive into Vald. If you
One,
know
if
something
never
of
heard
pertinence,
about it,
By the way, you know, we ask our community, we don't do it as a joke, because we went back and we watched the video, the live stream we did where the thumbnail was shark, right? SBF was a shark. And Robin's like, check this out. One of our community members had put in the chat, you guys should look into how Alameda arbitrages and manipulates the markets. And it was highlighted in the chat. And this was back in when was that, Robin? July? July. One of our community members, and I haven't seen that person in here for a while, or else I'm going to give them their kudos that they deserve. But hey, man, like we don't pretend like we know everything. We don't. You guys probably know some things we don't know. And so that's the whole part of a community is we put our minds together and, you know, we navigate our way through this. So I don't know much about Vald. If you guys know, please throw it in the chat. Let us know. Of course, if it's factually correct. But hey, still another one bites the dust, right? Another one coming off the back of this Genesis debacle here. Genesis Block Hong Kong has more than $50 million stuck on FTX. They are a crypto over-the-counter trading firm based in Hong Kong. They have funds stuck in the now bankrupt FTX. The exposure is worth more than $50 million. This is a direct quote from the company. With regret, we will be closing down the Genesis Block OTC.com portal website on the 10th of December at 6 p.m. Hong Kong time.
They're going under, right?
Look,
I mean, nobody's going to bail them out at this point. I mean, if Daddy don't bail you out,
yeah.
Digital Currency Group literally has more money than anybody. More money than Binance, right?
Yeah.
So if the person that has the most money in all of crypto won't even bail out their own subsidiary company, who in their right mind is gonna? That's like being a rich kid asking your dad for some money because you messed up. The neighbor ain't gonna give you money. Like, did you ask your dad? Like, nah, he ain't gonna give it to me. Like, well, I ain't gonna give it to you either, bro.
Right.
Like, hell nah. Let's give a little recognition to the chat here. Kirk Cat's first in the chat as well. And then a little bit about the, we got Young Chi, Viral Shorts. Wow. Salsa. Which is, he's Portuguese. He said, boa noite. Not very good at reading names in English. My boy Joel. We also got GOG, Adam, Flat Smack, and then we got S-Dog in here, Alan Cooley, and who else we got? I saw somebody else in here, but anyways. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. You got Italian?
What is Salvatore Militello? Guys, if you're Italian, show yourself. Make yourself known. Rocco feels a little
The
lonely.
damn like button.
Wait, you're Italian? All right. So Genesis, there was, well, not rumors, but they were trying to raise $1 billion before they declared withdrawals on their accounts. Now, guys, just so you know, we did a video on this yesterday. Make sure to go watch that. It was titled "Collapse Worse Than FTX," which is 100% true. If Genesis goes under, guys, there's rumors floating around, and I'm not saying that this is what I believe, that Grayscale might have to liquidate some of their Bitcoin. I don't believe that to be true. But if DCG is not bailing them out, we know they're in trouble. And if Genesis goes under, guys, majority of the earn programs you probably have your money in on centralized exchanges is probably going to be halted. And so I would highly recommend, unless of course it's staked and you can't touch it, right? If it's locked up, get your money out of earn programs, right? I've been saying this for 3 weeks. Preservation of capital over gains at this very moment. Don't get greedy. Don't take unnecessary risk. There is just too much uncertainty in the market right now for you to be chasing 2, 3, 4, 5% gains. It's just the truth. And use that information as you please. But I'll tell you this, if these earn programs start shutting down and you're over here in our community saying, oh, I just put it in or I didn't take it out, well, that's on you. So we're trying to help you guys out. Yeah. All right. More fallout from FTX. South Korea, GoPax halts their Genesis-backed DeFi. So this thing is crumbling as we're covering it. South Korean crypto exchange GoPax has halted withdrawal of principal and interest payments in its DeFi service GoFi, which brokers products from global crypto lender Genesis. The exchange announced on Thursday in Asia. GoPax said it had requested Genesis to return all GoPax user assets before Genesis made the announcement, but has not received a repayment. Digital Currency Group is the second largest holder of GoPax. That is what we have been saying. FTX and Alameda were so intermingled with the entire cryptocurrency space. And it makes sense because when we heard that if you got any money or backing from FTX or Alameda, one of the stipulations was you had to earn or you had to hold some of your or your client funds on their platform. And if that's true, which I believe it to be true, this is just the beginning. We saw BlockFi go down. We're now seeing Genesis go down. Who's next? Who's next? And so be careful, practice safe sex. And by sex, I mean CEX, Central Exchange. Honestly, guys, to be 100% honest with you, what? That's been going on Twitter, bro. It's a Twitter thing. You wouldn't know. You're too old. So the only exchange, guys, that I even trust to hold $100 in right now is Coinbase, only because they are a U.S. traded company, a public company. They have to submit paperwork. They have to submit financials. They have shareholders. Like, if they start doing stuff that FTX or some of these other lenders are doing, they would literally get in trouble. Their whole company will go under. So they can't hide behind these things, right? They have to be transparent. And so that is the only exchange I would even trust to have $100 in. Wouldn't trust the Earn program just as an on-off ramp. You want to hold a minute token in there, fine. I have a couple $100 on Coinbase, but still, custodying your own crypto is the number one way to go right now. And if you don't have a ledger and you want to support the channel, use our link in the bio. What are your thoughts on this overall? I've been kind of talking a lot here, Robin.
So Tony S says Vault is an interest earning platform like Celsius or Nexo. They were hit hard by 3AC insolvency. Yeah, we saw that. I don't know anything outside of that headline there, but yeah, we'll look a little more into it. As far as this contagion spreading, I'm curious. I don't have anything to add on the articles themselves, but I'm curious is if and when, because I think this is gonna happen. When is this contingency or this issue gonna spill over into traditional finance? When is venture capital that is not known to have major exposure into crypto or even banks? When is this going to spill over and affect the traditional finance? Do you think that's going to happen, David? Do you think that's on the table?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, can you argue that anything's on the table?
I mean, I could see how it would just stay confined to the crypto space. But at the same time, I 100% expect. I mean, because here's the thing. You have celebrities. You got Kevin O'Leary. You got Mark Cuban. You have, so basically all the who's that we know of that are front and center when it comes to venture capital are taking big hits. Kathy Wood had her big thing go down. I know she had the stock for.
She did pick up some Coinbase stock though.
She did.
Yeah, ARK did pick up some Coinbase.
But ARK stock dropped heavily. And so I know everybody's down. I'm not sitting here trying to say that like, oh, hey, if you have exposure to crypto, you're down. Everybody, even if you have zero exposure to crypto, unless you're in the energy sector, you're probably taking a lot of losses or a lot of punches today. Or not today, but in the last this fiscal year. And so I think we're gonna have a spillover. Now, if a major institution that isn't known to be a crypto player, if they were to go insolvent or file for bankruptcy and they point the finger at crypto, they point the finger at FTX, there will be some sweeping regulation coming in super fast, because then at that point, everybody in Wall Street and stock market is going to be like, yo, these crypto degens are messing up our playground, right?
Yeah.
And because right now, people on Wall Street, they just look at us like, hey, that's the crypto guys. They're doing their own thing. They make money, they lose money, but it is what it is.
But if this falls into, if it's like you said, if it makes its way into traditional finance, whoop, boop, 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 boop.
What is that?
I don't know.
Rocco's the one with the sound effects, not you.
S Dog said Kevin O'Leary will give Sam Bankman-Fried another chance. He's a loser. Yeah, I lost all respect for Kevin O'Leary when he said that.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for him to walk back that statement.
He's not going to, Robin. The guy it might be worse than Sam Bankman-Fried. How are you going to come out and a guy who's been proven a fraud, literally frauding people, you're saying, yeah, I'd give him another chance. Like, I'd invest money with him again.
That's crazy to me, man.
That is crazy. And if he ever comes on our show,
it shows you the power of money right there.
If he ever comes on our show, I will.
Do you even want him to be on our show anymore?
If he, yeah, you know why? Because I'm like, Kevin, can you explain why you would put your money and your name behind?
He's not going to come on the show if he's going to get grilled.
I don't care. Comes on the show.
In case y'all don't know, when you get somebody on the show, high profile, you kind of go over what the topics of discussion are. And I feel like if we're like, hey, we're going to ask you like 10 questions about what the fuck you doing?
Hey, if he doesn't want to come on, then he won't come on. Whatever.
Anyways, what else? I wouldn't trust anything. Oh, you know who I trust? Uniswap. Because nobody controls it. Technically, somebody does. There is a foundation that controls
Honestly,
Uniswap.
on off ramp.
They did do some sanctioned wallet addresses, but
On and off
honestly,
ramp, if you had to use an exchange, I would go Coinbase number 1, Binance number 2.
yeah, I mean, Binance is front and center. They regulators are looking into them. That whole like dumping on the market. It seems at face value like CZ was caught wind of what FTX was doing, or maybe he knew the whole time. He was just fed up with it, and could have went about it a different way, perhaps, than just straight crash a company. But I mean, I felt like it was needed, right? If you knew, okay, here's the thing, David. If you knew what you knew now, and you were in a position that CZ was, would you have done the same thing CZ did?
As far as making it public?
Making
that
it
he's
public
selling?
the way he did, and putting the sell pressure on, and these exchanges know each other's order books, so I'm sure he knew what was.
I would have done it earlier. He knew. There was a tweet from CZ that we covered.
The same thing was, he was also sitting on $2 billion worth of debt from
He
them.
obviously didn't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, he
I'm just
basically
saying, man,
had to wash that, bro.
If you knew that's what this guy was doing, why didn't you do it earlier, man? Yeah, it's going to hurt the market. It's going to hurt the market in the short term. But
maybe he didn't have the information then that he does now.
Well, yeah, this is us speculating.
Maybe it was speculation at the time.
What do you guys think? Did CZ do the right thing? Put a 1 in the chat if CZ did the right thing and he outed Sam Bankman-Fried the way he did, or
crashed and crashed FTX and blew it all up and brought crypto and Bitcoin into the place that we're at now.
Put a 1 if you agree with that. Put a 2 if you think he should have done it differently. I'm 1. What are you?
I don't know, man. I think 1, yeah. But I could easily see that being handled differently. I could easily see him going.
1 or 2.
I could easily see CZ going to, like, say, the regulators and being like, "Yeah, what look what this guy is doing. Like, he's stealing money, he is printing money, he's bankrupting people, he's taking advantage of people."
Apparently, projects were going to the SEC and they were doing nothing about it. Maybe he did go to the SEC, right? I mean, you watched that entire 3-hour video, right?
Yeah.
On New Genesis.
Uh-huh.
I watched about an hour and a half. So tell them what exactly Alameda was doing.
There was only 200 views. There's like 150 views on that video.
Now it's got over 30K.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But can you just kind of explain really quick what Alameda was doing? Because I didn't get as far as you did, and I know you watched the whole thing.
Oh, you guys want to know what Alameda was doing?
Break it down real quick,
you know.
man. Break it down.
Alameda, FTX, and Liquid, which is the exchange that Alameda uses. Well, basically, first of all, they were bringing in companies and manipulating the price to their advantage, and then basically taking all profits and all liquidity and just taking it straight from the project. So if you were new and say you were new, you had venture capital backing, you had $100 million, let's just say, for an example. And then you go and you want to list on FTX. You would first get listed on Liquid because that's their smaller chain. And then from there, they would list you on FTX. Anyways, what ended up coming to light is that FTX was creating their own tokens. And I'm not talking about FTT.
Okay.
I'm talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about Ethereum.
What do you mean they were creating their own tokens?
They were creating tokens. And so,
fake tokens?
Yes, fake tokens.
Okay.
So what they would do is say they had 100,000 Bitcoin. They would just create another 50,000 Bitcoin and put it into their liquidity pool. And here's the thing.
So you're saying they would mix the fake with the real?
Yeah, it's all in the same pool.
Okay.
But here's the thing. When you go to withdraw, you withdraw the real Bitcoin and the fake one stays there. And so you don't ever get into an issue doing this scenario unless over 100% of the real Bitcoin gets withdrawn all at once. And so anyways, it's a crazy world.
No, continue. That was good. So they commingle fake to real.
Mm-hmm.
They do fake to real.
Fake to real.
And then so what were they doing? Like how was that benefiting them? How were they hurting some of these companies?
So, well, they were hurting companies by taking their liquidity, right? But and then basically just short ending them. But here's where it gets crazy. Is so that they can print Bitcoin, they can print Ethereum, they can intermingle it into their order books, and then they can buy and sell their own token to either short positions or long positions, either for themselves or to create liquidation points. Remember a couple weeks ago when we were looking at liquidation points, we were looking at FTX. They had like 90% of all the liquidations came on their books, right?
Yeah.
Now looking back, you can see like, oh, they probably just bought and sold their own Bitcoin in their own books because it's not even real. And then they move the price up and down on their own. It's just straight manipulation. But the crazy thing is the manipulation comes from fake assets. And do you remember when everyone was taking a run on FTX? We were looking at the analytics. We were looking at how much Bitcoin was on there.
It was negative.
And Bitcoin went negative. On FTX, Bitcoin went negative. So you got to ask yourself, like, how the hell do you go negative on how much Bitcoin you have? How is that physically possible? Well, let me explain it to you. It's possible because, one, your order books have fake Bitcoin on there. And when everybody goes and removes a Bitcoin, you don't have anything there. And then that's why you were getting these 5 hour withdrawals on Bitcoin, because people were putting in withdrawals on Bitcoin that weren't there. And so then FTX is going and grabbing Bitcoin from cold storage wallets or whatever it is, and then moving it over or moving it over from Liquid Exchange, or they're moving it over from Alameda, or moving it over from wherever.
Can you address that comment, Robin? How do they create fake Bitcoin? Is that not impossible? No, when you're trading...
No, this is on their exchange.
Yeah,
so this is not on chain.
Yeah.
So you got to think, every time you buy and sell Bitcoin on an exchange, you don't move it from one wallet to another on the exchange at that point. The only time Bitcoin moves on chain through an exchange is when you withdraw or deposit, or if the exchange moves the assets from one wallet to another. So you can look at on-chain data for how much Bitcoin is in different wallets. And I'm telling you, bro, they do this with Ethereum as well. They do it with everything. And especially with these smaller tokens, to list, they'll ask for your source code. So they'll ask for the source code. They'll basically create a copy of your chain, and then from there they can just print. And this isn't if it's open source. So if it's not open source, they'll get it. So that way they know exactly how to create tokens. And then they can put a mirroring wallet address in their liquidity pools.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you can even work this outside of the exchange. So you can take your liquidity pool that has, say, 30% fake Bitcoin or 30% fake Ethereum, and then you can drain real assets from there and then move it over to, say, Binance and put in a position to liquidate. And then all the while, you can be arbitraging on your own exchange, shorting and longing, knowing what you're going to do on a foreign exchange. So let's just say you crash the price of Ethereum on Binance's chain. If price of Ethereum drops down by, say, 5% on Binance's exchange, by the means of arbitrage through all these exchanges and these bots, you're going to get buy and sell orders that match up perfectly with what's on Binance. You don't just crash the price on one exchange and that one goes down and everything else stays up. It all moves fluidly. And so if you don't have the means to move the price yourself and you have extra tokens that aren't real, you just borrow from your own liquidity pool, you move it to another exchange, you clear the order books in there, you put short positions on their exchange and on yours at the same time. You use your exchange to help push that number as well. and boom, you just crash the price, manipulate it.
Yeah.
Then that's why you see that the last 3 months, you would get 90% of the liquidations came from FTX.
Except Alameda. Alameda did not play by the rules. Their orders were not prone to the liquidation standards or rules that every single other trader had. And we're gonna put this conversation on pause because we want to bring in Forrest. He's been waiting. So Rocco, bring in Forrest. Forrest!
Hey.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Bro, this is a hug from me, man. I miss you, my friend. How you been?
I've been well. I've been doing quite well. Had an interesting week. Kind of being out of town, traveling a little bit out of pocket while all of this was going down. But managed.
Are you all
right,
caught up
came
now,
out
or
relatively unscathed? What's up?
are you all caught up now, or do you need me to give you a rundown on what's been going on?
Like, what would
No,
have
I'm all
happened?
caught up. I've been following along very, very closely.
What
Yeah,
would have
total
happened
fraud.
if you would have went out of town and didn't have your phone and went on like one of those like camping excursions where you don't like
You come back, you're like, what the hell happened?
you come back 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, you're like, what? FTX is gone? Stop.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Super sad though. Tons of fraud.
I want to give you an intro for us because we have a lot of new people. If you guys are not familiar with the man on the screen, this is Forrest. He was the former head of research at Token Metrics. He is the founder of Crypto Stackers Pro. They're a trading platform, charts, real-time indicators. And so you definitely should go subscribe to him. He goes live every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Amazing technical analysis. Not only that, he understands fundamentals, tokenomics. And so a lot of our info on tokenomics and whether a project is solid comes from Forrest. So Forrest, we appreciate you. And guys, go support this man. He's amazing. All right. So Forrest,
I want
Go
to throw this out there.
Go ahead.
Price of oil is down, bro. Price of oil
Yeah.
is down. I know you're a big oil guy. Just want to throw
He's
that
not
out
a big
there.
oil guy. He's hedging his bet, idiot.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's like it's down. Like it's like at a 3-month low, man, right now.
Yeah. Okay. So Forrest, I want to start here. Okay. Obviously, the overall thing is bad, right? With FTX, what is the one thing that you think is the most damning for the industry as a whole? Maybe some information that you know or has come to light or that you've been reading on. The one thing that you're like, man, either you are shocked by it or it's the worst possible thing out of this entire situation that bad for the crypto space.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, and I don't understand all the variables at play, but like if this contagion continues to spread, where it could actually spread to. Obviously, we've got news that's already come out about Genesis Trading, which affects the Gemini Earn program, but I believe Genesis Trading is either owned or heavily exposed, or has heavy exposure to DCG. Again, I haven't done like full
They're owned
deep
by
level
DCG.
research. They're owned by DCG.
Yeah.
And this, they potentially have super large exposures to Grayscale. The worst case scenario here that I see is, dissolving of the Grayscale trust in which they have to liquidate all of their deposits. I don't think that's a likely scenario. I think it's more likely that maybe, they force an ETF and potentially we see Ethereum and Bitcoin become redeemable, in which case that spread, that Grayscale discount on Bitcoin and Ethereum would close relatively quickly, I would imagine. And we'd probably see some sort of arbitrage effects where Ethereum price drops, but then and Bitcoin price drops, but also the Grayscale Ethereum and the Grayscale Bitcoin rises, and they meet somewhere in the middle or more towards the spot price. But the total dissolution of that, where if that's trust was to dissolve and they were to have to dump all of their Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously that would be very, very catastrophic because there is a lot of Bitcoin and ETH in there. So yeah, that's the biggest fear of mine right now. I know people are scared of regulations and stuff, but that stuff all takes time. And at the end of the day, yeah, we're going to get regulations, but I don't think that they're going to be unreasonable. People love to kind of FUD and say, oh, everything's a security, it's all going to zero. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think crypto will fight against that. And at the end of the day, we still have DeFi as well, even if we do get regulations.
True. Speaking of DeFi, Forrest, you've been a big supporter of Solana. You launched your NFT project on Solana. Obviously, huge ties to FTX, huge ties to Alameda, huge ties to a lot of the VC firms that are now starting to falter, right? Because this all has been intermingled. We've seen over 60% of the total value locked for Solana on DeFi go out the window. We're hearing news about some crypto or some NFT projects that have abandoned Solana, their project, and are moving to either Avalanche, Cardano, or Ethereum. The price has tanked. What are you? And we know for a fact that Alameda has tons and tons and millions of tokens of Solana that they might have to force liquidate. Where is Solana at now, in your opinion? Can they survive this? Are you staying away, or are you seeing this as a buying opportunity?
It depends on your time horizon. I do think that Solana has built a good product, a good community, has great developers. I only hear good things about the Solana hackathons from people that have gone and visited them. And yeah, I mean, Solana I still think is, in the long term, a solid project. It is an unfortunate victim of, FTX and Alameda. Like we've seen with some other cryptocurrencies that have been completely wrecked as well. I think Near Protocol has had some collateral damage. And then, going back to the very, beginning launches of stuff like ICP, which has been its token price has been a victim of the Alameda and FTX kind of fraud and scams. Long term, I think Solana will be fine. I don't think it's going to turn into a ghost chain. I don't think that it's going to completely go away. I still think there's demand. I still think there's great projects that have built on Solana and will continue to build on Solana. At the end of the day, Solana is essentially used as gas for gas fees, transaction fees for the ecosystem. Product still works. It's just that gas just got a lot cheaper. From an investment standpoint, this is brutal. We've seen the Solana price drop significantly. Is it a buying opportunity? It's unclear, right? You could have thought, ICP was a buying opportunity at $9. Now it's down at $3. We'll see in the long term, but I do think that in the long term, this isn't the end of the road for Solana. I think there's just too many people that have. I think it's too good of a product too, and there's too many people that have joined the community and use Solana. They have a massive user base compared to a lot of other blockchains out there. I do think that they'll recover, but as far as price action in the short term, yeah, probably bearish, probably not great. Maybe not the best time to buy, but maybe not the worst time either. Again, it's super unclear at this point. We don't know how far this contagion is going to spread.
So just to address a couple of points that you made, when it comes to Grayscale, I'll start there. With the Grayscale Trust, what you mentioned is on the table, something that could happen. I think the likelihood, if there was to be some kind of massive fallout when it comes to Grayscale, would be more in tune to another institution buying the trust assets and basically taking over management of those, and basically moving from one company over to the other. And I think that would probably be the most likely scenario if there were to be some kind of bankruptcy or insolvency issues. Remember that Grayscale doesn't have any of its Bitcoin at any vulnerability or leverage situation. It is all backed 1-to-1 per the investor, which is why it's deemed a trust. But even if that were the situation, if there were to be some kind of bankruptcy or some kind of downsizing, or perhaps even the sale of the trust management, that headline alone would send massive shockwaves, because they are the biggest holder of Bitcoin in period. Like, they're the biggest holder of Bitcoin, biggest wallet. And, so there's that. So it does worry me to some degree. I don't see it. I don't see any of that touching any on chain. I don't see it touching any order books. If there were to be some kind of catastrophic issues, I think it would just move from one industry player to another. But But with Solana, I know David's a little bit more weary of Solana because of the outages and some of the centralization kind of points that you can point to. I am still a believer in Solana. I think they'll be fine. You know what? They were just heavily invested by FTX, and you know what? They probably had some price manipulation. They probably injected tons of capital in there and at the right time. And I think a lot of the pump that came from Solana perhaps was more or less FTX's doing, where they were gonna profit on the back end, but. I'm in the camp. I still like Solana, man. I think they're going to be fine. I think that community, the NFT space, it's second only to Ethereum when it comes to transactions. But one thing I think we're going to discuss here in a little bit, and then I'll have to double check with David. But we're going to talk with Tether. So Tether is moving liquidity out of the Solana ecosystem, and they're moving that over to the Ethereum chain. So when Tether sells off, $1 billion, I think it's $1 billion. When they sell $1 billion worth of their Tether on Solana and then rehypothecate it over to the Ethereum chain, it's just an indication of where the liquidity is needed for Tether. So I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure where we're going. You know what really kind of terrifies me is what we were talking about right before you got on, is what the practices of FTX and what it seems to be common practice in the exchanges in general. And not saying that everybody's guilty of it, but that a lot of these transactions are fake. Gary Gensler has come out saying that there's more transactions that are artificial and are not real on exchanges than there are real transactions. Do you fall in that boat? I know you're kind of an analytics person when it comes to on-chain data and even what exchanges are doing. Do you think that there is manipulation as far as the order books and in a greater proportion than there is real transactions?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, the way, without even diving into the specifics and looking at it from a law perspective, the way that you can just tell that there is so much fraud going on with FTX is the fact that they had this access, right? They had this quote unquote God mode access, and they were manipulating prices, and they could see everything, and Alameda didn't have, to follow the same rules in terms of their liquidations, and they still lost $8 to $10 billion. I don't know what the official number is. I think it's, I've heard $8 billion. I've heard $10 billion. What's $2 billion difference, right? But they were still able to lose $8 to $10 billion despite having a massive, insider advantage, and be able to look at all this data and not have to follow the same rules. So 100%, this is absolutely massive fraud. That's the only detail about this entire thing that I need to know in order to know beyond a shadow of doubt that this is fraud. If you give anybody that you give me that information, I'm like, not losing money, period. I'm gonna get so rich off of just knowing where all the big traders have their longs, have their shorts, have their liquidation points, have the capital to actually manipulate the markets, can manipulate liquidations and stuff like that. If you have all of the access to everything like that, you should be making so much money. It's not even funny. So I don't think it's the issue that where they were unable to make money. I think it's an issue of, where did that money go? And I think, we're going to, find out where that money
houses
went.
And cars. Houses and cars. Yeah. That's where it went.
House of cards.
Do you think this spills over to other exchanges? Do you think this is common practice in our industry? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got all these exchanges out there. Let's say, look, if you're running an exchange, and obviously you guys are men of integrity, but if you're running an exchange, you're not going to be curious as to, all right, you have this account who has made, this trading account who's made, let's say, $25 million this year trading. It's the best trader on your exchange. You're going to get curious about whether or not they're long or short. Right now, is this, the best trader on your exchange, are they long right now? Or are they short right now? What do they know? You wouldn't get curious. You wouldn't be, are they long? Are they short? Where's their liquidation point? Did they just buy Bitcoin at 16.5K, or are they entering shorts right now? You'd be really curious. So just merely having that information is going to influence your decisions in what you do. It's going to influence your decisions in the short term. It's also going to influence the decisions that you make for your business. If I see that the most profitable traders on my exchange are net short right now, that may make me as a somebody in the crypto space more likely to look for hedges, more likely to expect Bitcoin to drop, right? So just by having this data, you're go ahead.
You think there's a fix to this? Do you think that maybe next bull cycle this is something we talk about that was being done in the past? You think that maybe regulation comes in and does it per, the U.S. government? Or do you think that maybe there's some kind of internal audit, transparency that gets done? Or do you just think this is the name of the game and it's how it's always been and it's how it's going to always be?
I think it's the name of the game, and I think it probably happens to even a greater degree in the legacy side of things. I mean, I just even with regulation, it's all it doesn't matter crypto or not, crypto, stocks, bonds, whatever market you're in, it's manipulated and it's rigged to some degree. I don't think that these people with all this information are just not using it. We even see it among politicians. The fix is really DeFi, basically making that information available for everybody. So, on a decentralized derivatives exchange like Gains Network or GMX, and I'm not plugging a certain exchange, those are the examples, DYDX, Perpetual Protocol, there's tons of them now. All of that data is on chain. So you can actually go in and look up the addresses that are the most profitable, and you can see whether they're long or short. You can see where their orders are. You can see, and that can all be, ported into a dashboard. So that's that it's a bad thing to some degree for those, those wallets, those traders that, have their liquidation points exposed. People could try to manipulate the market and run stops and whatnot. But then eventually we get to a point where, there's, that data can be hidden and that data can be made private and made sure that nobody has an advantage through stuff like ZK proofs, right? Like you can hide where somebody's liquidation is on chain without sacrificing the integrity of, you make sure that nobody has that information aside from the person that's making that trade. So DeFi is ultimately the fix to all of this. And ultimately, if in the grand scheme of things, that's why regulators want to come in. Regulators want to come in and regulate DeFi so that the fix to all of the racket that's been going on for so long can't be fixed, right? They just want to regulate it and have controls over it.
I mean, is it a coincidence we're not hearing anything about Aave, about Compound? Those are complete DeFi protocols, and we haven't heard a single piece of news. No contagion, no halting anything, because it's code. It's decentralized. Right. Forrest, before we jump into a chart, I want to show this. So these are Bitcoin balances on exchanges. We've seen almost 100,000 Bitcoin flow into Binance, and they flipped Coinbase. They are the #1 holder of Bitcoin in the entire cryptocurrency space as far as a centralized exchange. We do know Coinbase does get a lot of the miners who do sell the Bitcoin to Coinbase. What are your thoughts on this shift? Also, Gemini has seen massive outflows. 33,000 Bitcoin has left Gemini over the last 7 days. Of course, Genesis was handling Gemini's Earn program, and the Earn rewards and money locked up in Earn on Gemini has been halted. Not withdrawals, just regular Earn withdrawals have been halted. And so what are your thoughts on this? And then if you want to jump into a Bitcoin chart, please feel free to do so. But before you do, real quick, sorry. And these are the withdrawals for from Gemini for ETH. Look at this. This is close to 4,000, I believe, 4,000 Ethereum? No. Over 15,000 ETH has left close to, and it looks like in a day. So what are your thoughts on that? And then if you want to show a Bitcoin chart, kind of tell us some price targets and where you see the trend going.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yeah, it's that other table that you had pulled up is really interesting because it really tells you where do people trust what exchanges are. It's really an objective measure of trust, right? How trustworthy does the market think that Binance is right now? Apparently, they think that it's the most trustworthy exchange, which is interesting. I would have thought that there'd be more inflows to Coinbase, but when you're talking about large, it's kind of, you pick between two evils. You've got trust. I think, the market trusts Coinbase being a publicly traded company. They have more scrupulous auditing. But as far as like slippage goes and, the prices, if you're trying to sell 20 Bitcoin, you're going to get a better exchange rate and less slippage on Binance than you are on Coinbase, more than likely. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I do have some charts I can share here. You're going to get pulled into Inception here in just a moment.
We haven't really done any TA over this last week, and so a lot of people have been asking about TA. So who better than you? Also, Forrest, with your signals as far as the margin pressure levels, again, we do have a lot of new people. If you just as you're going through them, if you kind of want to briefly go over what exactly they are, what they mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's first. I've actually got quite a few charts to show today if we've got time. Just not just on crypto, but also just kind of on legacy too. I think people, one of the things I just put out a thread on Twitter. One of the things that I think is propping up this market, propping up the price of Ethereum. Like if you look at Ethereum's price, I'll pull it up in another chart because I don't want to ruin that chart. If you look at Ethereum's price here, and we will do Bitcoin. I want to make sure we get to Bitcoin, but we just had one of the biggest black swan events ever in crypto. FTX collapsing, and we still haven't made a new bear market low. You would think that ETH's price would be somewhere down here around $600 to $700 by now. And I'm not saying it's not going to head down there. Or maybe it does. We can figure out some of these price levels in just a moment. But there's a lot of things that could potentially be propping up the market right now, and one of them is that CPI report that we had. Inflation does, right before FTX collapsed, all anybody cared about was CPI, rate hikes. It's all we were talking about for 2 to 3 months. Felt like we've been talking about it all year long, but we've been spending a lot of time. So I do want to, draw some people's attention to the fact that we've got some interesting charts. I've shown this chart a million times. Midterm election year, the market usually performs really, really well post midterm election. I just want to draw. I'm not, trying to paint a bullish picture whatsoever because I'm actually, now flipped a little bit more bearish recently with the FTX collapse. This is a really interesting chart as well, right? This is performance. Oops, there we go. Performance among equities, bonds, and cash based on the historic rate of inflation. So we're actually in a high inflation period of time right now, above 4%. I think we're currently sitting at 7%, 7.7% and dropping. What actually performs the best in terms of annualized real returns and annualized nominal returns in a high inflation period of time? It's actually equities that outperform bonds and cash. And as we move to mildly overshooting, equities are even higher, 11%. On average, and that's kind of where we're probably going to end up, right? Unless we go into a deflationary period of time. But we're at 7.7%. The Fed's targeting, I believe, 3% now. Equities actually outperform, right? When inflation's slightly high, right? When you have deflation, obviously, bonds and cash outperform equities. This chart's very interesting. U.S. rent CPI versus the Zillow rent index. This is showing that inflation is peaking. Inflation's peaking. The Fed's going to have to pivot soon, right? And I know that's been the narrative, but it's true to some degree. The U.S. Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index, right? This is the used car market. We're already experiencing deflation in the used car market. Right. So I know I kind of went off topic here, but I just want to still kind of paint the picture before we delve into crypto of what the macro looks like. It's still looking like inflation has peaked, and it is looking like the Fed's going to eventually have to pause, taper, or otherwise pivot. Another thing that may be propping up this market, among many things, is yes, people are withdrawing a lot of their funds from exchanges. This is the Ethereum exchange. Outflow. David was just showing us the Bitcoin exchange inflow and outflow, where a lot was coming into Binance, but it was being removed. But now we're seeing a big move to cold storage and self custody. This is normally incredibly bullish, right? If you're seeing Ethereum or other crypto being pulled off of exchanges, right, that dries up liquidity on exchanges, and it reduces the supply, basic supply and demand. If there's less supply of something, the price is more likely to appreciate. It's more likely to move up. So we're actually seeing a supply crunch where a lot of this supply is being pulled right off of exchanges and into cold storage. If you're putting your crypto in cold storage, it's probably crypto that you do not intend to sell in the immediate term, right? Not only that, but we've already had a shakeout. Like, we had a big bear market shakeout over here in Ethereum. And if you didn't sell over here, what makes you think, what makes you think the people that didn't sell over here are going to now sell over here at even at a higher price? If they couldn't be shaken out below $1,000, we're sitting at $1,200 right now. That's actually pretty comfortable compared to where we were for quite a long period of time. I believe like over a month here, well below $1,200. But I do want to go over a couple charts. We'll go over Bitcoin. I will go over Matic first, just because I've already got it pulled up, and I just want to draw attention to the fact that we are actually on a support level for Matic. And this is the only reason I wanted to bring this chart up today is Matic's performed incredibly well despite this downturn and despite this bear market. It's actually still from its bottom up about 178%. But it is nearing this support level of around 87 cents, which we have seen hold repeatedly in the past. So we've seen it hold over here. We've seen deviations above it where we've seen it hold as support and then dip back below, hold as resistance. So this is a really big key level to actually watch for Matic, right? So if we get a bounce here, this could be a decent little entry for a long trade. If we drop below and hold it as resistance, that could be a good short trade, and that would push us down to maybe the 63 to 65 cent region, which in my opinion, if you're looking for a Matic entry in the short to mid-term, a 63, we get another capitulation downwards. You'll say Bitcoin drops to that 12K number, 13K, 14K number that everybody's talking about. 63 to 65 cent Matic could be on the table, and that would be a nice little pickup. And that's only that's another 24, 27% drop from where we're at right now. So I think that's completely on the table for Matic if we do go downwards. And I think Matic's a good pickup.
Hey, Forrest, quick question.
For next bull market. Yep.
All right, let's say we get capitulation. Matic 63 cents, Solana under $10. What are you picking up first?
Matic in this market, I think consumer confidence around Matic and the momentum that they have is much stronger than Solana. I think you really need to be wary about Solana right now. Like I said, and like Robin said, I do think that long term, it's going to be just fine and could actually be like the pickup, right? Yeah, I think, in future bull markets in 3, 4, 5 years from now, people are going to be like, wow, I could have picked up Solana for like $10, $12. Who knows how low it'll drop? Maybe it drops to $2 or $3. I don't know. But in 3 to 5 years, right? You remember they're still well funded, right? The Solana Foundation is still well funded. They still have a ton going for them. They got a Solana phone coming out. Like they're still going to be okay. In 3 to 5 years, who knows? Maybe Solana's back at $200-$300, and people are just like, "Oh, that was the most obvious, 50x opportunity I've ever seen." It's not so clear right now in the immediate term. Matic looks incredibly strong. I've got Matic. I've got four cryptocurrencies that I call S tier cryptocurrencies. They're from a fundamental perspective, that I rank the highest. That's Ethereum, Chainlink, Matic, and QNT. And Matic is right up there in S tier. So I would say Matic at 63 to 65 cents for the long term is a good play. And the reason being for that is not because of the technology, not because of anything other than the fact that their business development is second to none. They're better than anybody at onboarding users and big users, big companies. Into their ecosystem. So that was one of the reasons I liked Solana, because how many users it had, how well they were able to onboard people into the ecosystem. We're actually seeing Matic pull ahead, obviously, with all the damage that has been done to Solana. So definitely Matic to answer that question.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. Yep, absolutely.
Oh, by the way,
let's look at some.
Just
go
a
ahead.
disclaimer real quick, Forrest. Alameda was a big investor in Matic as well, close to $500 million. So just want to throw that out there also.
Yep.
But in my opinion, I do believe Matic's ecosystem is a little more built out, in my opinion. A lot more use cases as far as institutions coming in and people outside of crypto using it. We've seen Nike, we've seen Disney, we've seen Reddit. And so I'm not too worried about Polygon. Could there be a massive dump of the token, push the price down? Yes. But again, like you mentioned, 63 cents. I mean, really, could you go wrong picking that up? So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the extent of Alameda's reach and FTX's reach, it's actually quite difficult to find any cryptocurrencies that Alameda either didn't invest in or FTX didn't own, and to some degree, obviously, if they have
Cardano.
Cardano, and I don't know that they had any position in QNT or anything that nature. And yeah, they've got Ethereum, Chainlink, and Matic, but obviously they're going to have exposure to the majority of the market. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I guess it's better than Crypto.com having like 20% of their balance sheet in SHIB, I think SHIB or Doge.
SHIB.
So Crypto.com
I'm
goes under, that SHIB price is going down.
To me,
Don't say you're bullish on SHIB.
I'm not bullish on SHIB, but to me, that's not. To me, them having 20% is not that concerning, especially if they say they're backed 1-to-1, right? And we know Crypto.com, they spent so much money on advertising to the masses. At the height of the market, I wouldn't doubt that people were rushing to Crypto.com, and the first thing they were picking up is SHIB. So if what they're saying is true and they're 1-to-1, I don't see any issue with 20% of the holdings being SHIB, because that would be customer assets. And hey,
So you don't think 80? You don't think? I don't know. I just find it I kind of find it strange. I feel like Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Well, I mean,
should
who's
be
using
more.
Crypto.com though? Would you say more of novice investors are using Crypto.com?
Yeah. Good point.
My 2 cents. All right. Sorry, Forrest.
No worries at all. Yeah, so okay, we're looking at the Bitcoin chart here, and what I've pulled up, the indicator I've pulled up is called the easy bands. They're called the easy bands because it's designed to make things easy, right? If we get rid of the easy bands, like all we have is this, chart, and we don't really know. All we can see is, over time, Bitcoin's done well. It's, had bull markets, bear markets, it's popped up, and now we're kind of in a bear market. That's pretty obvious. But really, in terms of, where Bitcoin's been valued at over the last, 4 to 5 months, are we getting a good price on it at this moment in time? And what these bands allow us to do is they just allow us to identify, as compared to where the market has valued Bitcoin over the last 4 to 5 months, is now a high risk time to buy or a low risk time to buy? Or in other words, is Bitcoin overbought right now, or is it a little bit oversold? And this purple level is just our 21-week simple moving average, and the green and the red zones are extensions of that 21-week simple moving average, calculated with something called margin pressure levels. And it just shows you that when the market, or when Bitcoin's price drops into, say, the green zone or pops up into the red zone, it just means that the market is overextended to the downside in terms of its leverage, right? It's very difficult to short Bitcoin down here. There's not a lot of incentive. It's incredibly risky for the market to short Bitcoin down here. Excuse me. Whereas it's actually becoming increasingly risky to long Bitcoin on leverage when it's up in the red zone, right? So yes, you can get a crazy bull market and you can spend some time in the red zone, but usually that red zone is going to act as resistance and the green zone is going to act as support. And right now, where are we? Right? And this is why I was so confident saying, locally, this looks like a bottom for Bitcoin, right? When we hit this green easy band zone, historically, Bitcoin does not dip below this level. And if it does, it pops right back up. That was a liquidity crisis in the pandemic. We popped right back up. We can look at data going all the way back to like 2012, and Bitcoin just does not go below this level and stay there. It may pop down below this level, but you're very, very likely to get a bounce right back up. So where are we right now? We're slightly oversold, compared to where Bitcoin's been. And we're in a bear market, we're in a downtrend. So obviously these bands are going to be adjusting downwards over time. Hopefully we'll find a bottom and start flattening out here soon. But all this is telling us is compared to the 21-week simple moving average, the market is oversold, but it still has room to go down, right? So I'm very 50-50. I'm going to lean slightly bearish just because of how bad this FTX thing really, could potentially be. I just put out a thread on, the things that are propping up this market, and we'll see if those things can continue to prop up this market. But without demand and buy volume really coming in, it's going to be difficult for price to go up. Right? Without a constructive crypto narrative, it's going to be difficult for price to go up. So I'm going to be leaning more bearish. And we do see that there is room down here for price to go down. Over here, everybody was talking about 6K Bitcoin. They're talking about 10K Bitcoin. They're talking about 12K Bitcoin. I said no. Absolutely not. It's very unlikely. I do not think we're going down to 12K Bitcoin. At least not in this leg, right? In the overall bear market, sure. We could go now 12K Bitcoin's on the table, 10K Bitcoin's on the table. Over here on this initial leg down, 6K Bitcoin was not on the table at the time. This drop down to 6K was never going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. That would be the absolute collapse end of Bitcoin if that happened, right? Something so drastic would have to happen that would just have to make everybody sell their Bitcoin and want to get out of it. The only way that happens is if Bitcoin as a protocol gets hacked by quantum computing, something like that happening, right? And that's just because the market never gets that over leverage to the downside. It just never happens, right? But now what we see is compared to where Bitcoin's been valued at in this range, we came up and tested our 21-week simple moving average. We actually have some room to go down now. In this green easy band is at 10K and dropping, right? The more time we spend below this 21-week simple moving average, the more these easy bands are going to start adjusting downwards. So now I'm more than happy to admit, 10K is on the table. Now, a lot of people talking about 3 to 6K right now still say, 3 to 6K in the immediate term I don't think that's on the table. Is it within the realm of possibility? Is it plausible? Sure, if Michael Saylor gets liquidated and you have just this huge liquidity crisis and just you have Bitcoin miners going out of business left and right, even if all of that happens, it would probably be, down here, a bounce, relief rally, right? And a slower move down to that 3 to 6, one black swan after another. And it would take some time to get down there. And these bands would start adjusting downwards. Whereas, in the immediate term, I just don't even think I don't think it's smart to make that your base case of Bitcoin's going down to 6K. I just don't think it's smart. We have no historical pretext for ever seeing Bitcoin, even in a bear market, drop below these levels, right? So right now, we know that, hey, if we're constructive on Bitcoin in the long term, which many people are, if we're constructive on crypto in the long term, which many people are, where are the optimal entry points or accumulation zones for Bitcoin? Well, when we come down here and touch the green bold easy band. Does that mean it's a bear market bottom? No, not necessarily. But what it does mean is that Bitcoin's very oversold. It's probably going to see some sort of a local bounce, right? A local bottom and some sort of a bounce back up to some degree, gives a profit-taking opportunity, or otherwise may very well be a bear market bottom. Right, so this turned out to not be the bear market bottom. I think it had a really good shot of being the bear market bottom had we not seen this FTX capitulation. Now we've made a new bottom, new low on Bitcoin, and we're threatening these 10 to 14K levels. I think a bear market bottom somewhere in this 10 to 14K level is actually fairly likely, right, as we move towards the 2024 Bitcoin halving. Could we go down to 6K over time? Yes, that's completely possible. But in the immediate term here, what I'm saying is I'm fairly confident that any capitulation further down will probably result in a local bottom or a bear market bottom somewhere in the 9 to 14K region. I say 9K because, as we start capitulating, these green easy bands are going to start tilting downwards a little bit. And in the immediate term, we're looking at, somewhere around 9K plus, 9 to 14K. I know that's a kind of a broad range, but that's what we have to work with right now. So that's the easy bands. I'll go in a little bit more depth here using the margin pressure levels. And We're actually going to mainly stick to the short margin pressure levels right now because the sellers are in control. The sellers are in control. What I mean by that is people are looking for opportunities to short Bitcoin right now. It's in a bear market. We just had an FTX collapse. Yes, people, there are some buyers coming into the market, propping up the price, looking for long-term accumulations. But for the most part, the majority of the trade volume happening right now is probably, dominated by shorts. We can actually go in and see that data. I think the longs are a little bit overextended right now and might get flushed out, and we could see some liquidations that push price lower. That's more kind of like on-chain stuff. But all we're saying here is, what are the levels that the shorts are incentivized to enter and exit the market based on wanting to hide their liquidation points up here above this local high, right? If you're shorting Bitcoin, you realistically want to have your liquidation point hidden above 32,399 at least, right? We can go off of some of these lower levels, but the highest you're probably going to realistically go here is 32,399, and you may start becoming more comfortable here in the short term. But what this is showing us is that as price drops below 16,199, right, 16.2K, as price drops below 16.2K, which it did, right, the shorts have to leave the market. And the reason the shorts have to leave the market is because as price is down here, as Bitcoin's price is, let's say it goes down to 15K, which it did, you can no longer hide your liquidation point above 32,399. And that's really, really important because all of a sudden you're exposed, right? Remember, at this moment in time, you feel, oh, my liquidation point's up at 32.4K. That feels really comfortable. But Michael Saylor felt really comfortable with his liquidation point below 20K, and then he had to adjust, right? You never would have thought when Bitcoin was at $69,000 that your $20,000 liquidation point was going to get tested, right? And we're eventually if you keep your liquidation point at 33K for Bitcoin long enough, it's going to get tested because there's going to be another bull market. And we know that there's going to be, bear market relief rallies that we were well on our way to having one that could have easily come up and tested that level. Right. So that's all that this is showing. And you see, these are really, really nice support and resistance levels, and they're predictive. Right? They're predictive. All we need is that local high there, and we can start to see, right, that support and that resistance coming in at these levels. Right? Resistance, support, and a very common trade, a very common pattern is actually the 2x short to 3x short bounce. And again, I'm not, saying that I'm bullish here. I'm actually, I want to be clear that I'm more leaning towards the bearish side right now. However, it's very common for you to see a capitulation and then a squeeze back up to the 3x short level. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but this is actually, if we move this back a notch, I'll show you a perfect example of it, right? We had our shorts off of this local high. What happened, right? We saw capitulation down to here, and we saw the 3x short or the 2x short to 3x short bounce, right? 2x short to 3x short bounce. Very, very common pattern when you're capitulating. And the reason that, part of the reason that can happen is nobody ever expects that. Nobody ever expects that this is going to run it back up to retest and let the shorts re-enter. If we move our local high down to our most recent, one of our most recent local highs, we actually see that the shorts are coming back in and pounding this down every single time Bitcoin's price tries to go up above 16.8. If you're looking for a short entry in the short term, 16.8 is probably a pretty decent level. You can start shorting it on 3x leverage and hide that liquidation point up above 25.2. And then the last set of margin pressure levels before I hand it back over to Dave and Robin is this one off of our most recent local high. You're actually going to see that, again, we get support in this region and resistance in this region at 17.2 and support at 16.1. And we have confluence around 16.1, 16.2. So basically, why is Bitcoin's price struggling to drop below this level? Well, it's because as soon as it does, those shorts are less incentivized to come in the market on high levels of leverage, right? Now, if we can break down below here, we're looking at 14.3K as a really nice little support level. That would be a very realistic place for us to potentially find a bottom. That would be kind of, coming in here, testing the top of our 21 or our easy bands. And then of course, 10.7K would be a big level. And if I can move these back one more time over here, we'll show you a great level that I think would be great for an entry point, both for a short-term long trade, but also just a longer-term accumulation trade, would be 12.6K. Look, if Bitcoin drops to 12.6K, you're going to have this green easy band coming in to act as support as well. The green dashed easy band. We get something like this happening, right? A really nasty capitulation into December or January. We could even see something like this, guys. We could see something like that. We don't know how we're going to get there or if we're going to get there, but this is a strong support level, 12.6K. That would be a nice little entry point to catch a bounce in the short term, or even just for a long-term accumulation if you're a fan of Bitcoin.
Nice.
12K, huh?
I don't know.
I just, I'm not big on those dramatic
numbers.
numbers, but man, 12K. Huh? I think 12K is.
Forrest, can I ask a favor? Can you just real quick take a look at this chart? It's in traditional finance.
Yeah,
SI.
absolutely.
Is it the oil chart?
It's SI.
SI.
And then after you take a look, I'm going to follow it up with an article, and you'll see how I tie this in. You tell me just off the bat. I don't know if you've ever traded this, but like as a technical analyst and a trader, you look at the SI chart.
What is SI?
What's the first thing? You'll see. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what are you like?
Okay,
Man,
are
this
you
thing's
wanting
in
me
trouble.
to pull it up?
Yeah, if you can, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right, it's SI.
SI, Silvergate.
Silver. Okay. Silver.
Bam, right there.
Yeah.
New York Stock Exchange.
Right. All right. And is this like a company that sells silver?
No, Robin,
No,
tell them
far
how
from-
big this company is.
So this is the fiat liquidity provider for almost all major exchanges.
$450 billion
or
in
legacy?
volume every day.
So they're basically the liquidity provider for on and off ramp for exchanges. So
Like literally
Gotcha,
every
gotcha.
exchange.
FTX, they do Coinbase, they have
Binance.
Kraken. Then no longer do they do service Binance. They also have Crypto.com and
450 billion in volume every day.
so
Yeah, I mean, this
there's
thing looks like it's headed to $16.
How much?
16 at
Oh my
least.
God.
15.
Dude, this thing
Right,
is
so-
tanking. And again, like I said, I'm going to tie this in. I'm going to follow this up with some news here, but I just like as a technical analyst, are you looking at this chart and saying, "Man, this company's in trouble"? Or are you looking at it like, "Hey, might be a good buying opportunity"? I know you don't know too much about the company.
You
as
could
a whole, but-
also, you can also pull up any chart of any publicly traded company that has, deep root ties to crypto. Like you look at the, Coinbase chart, it's probably going to look very similar, but I feel comfortable knowing that Coinbase is going to be fine. And not to mention, this is a bank. So, they have.
There's rumors they're being
there's-
shorted to death.
Yeah, but they're going to have stopgaps. They're going to have. I don't know.
Yeah. So look, if you're, and I should have mentioned this with the easy bands, like this applies to anything. Like obviously, if something's not fundamentally sound, there's cracks in it, and it's not going to survive. All the easy bands in the world can't help you.
Right.
But if this is a matter of, do you think it's going to survive? If the answer is, this is fundamentally sound enough that you think it's going to survive, then buying in this range is probably just fine, right? Just like if Bitcoin's chart, this doesn't look all too dissimilar to Bitcoin's chart. We had, kind of our double peak here, and then, bear market. This is somewhat correlated. Bitcoin's down like a lot, but if you believe in the fundamentals behind Bitcoin or Ethereum looks very similar. If you believe in the fundamentals behind something, buying it when it's down this much is a no-brainer, right? It's down 90%, sure. Like if you think it's going to bounce back, buying something 90% off that's a deal. It's just a matter of, how much more pain can you take before before you have to cut losses on that investment, or is it money that you need, right? For example, Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's probably we're in a bear market. Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto in general, crypto that's going to bounce back in future bull markets. That's a good buy right now. It's down at least 70%. The big question in the air is, what isn't going to bounce back? And do you want to be investing in taking risks and things that aren't going to be bouncing back? I look at this and I don't know much about it, but I have probably less faith in this bouncing back, just because it's a centralized company. And I don't know much about it. Than I do of Matic bouncing back. Then then Ethereum bouncing. Like, I think Ethereum's going to bounce back. So do I want to buy Ethereum 70% off, or do I want to buy whatever this is 90% off? For me, there's I feel less risky in Ethereum. I feel less risk in Bitcoin. I feel less risk in just crypto in general, Matic, whatever it is, Chainlink. So I'm going to be, more towards what I understand and what I have confidence in bouncing back.
Yeah, I just kind of want to get your reaction to the chart and the technicals on that. And so I'm going to couple that up with this article. Crypto prime broker Falcon X will no longer use Silvergate's network. And so it talks about out of the abundance of caution for our customers, we will not be using Silvergate, SEN, and wires effective immediately until further notice. This action is based on publicly available information on Silvergate and is consistent with other market players. They go on to say the market is in a heightened risk environment. We are being extremely cautious. Silvergate said its banking platform was built to withstand periods of market volatility, and it remains, quote, committed to solving problems for their customers. The CEO goes on to say from Silvergate has no outstanding loans to nor investments in FTX, and FTX is not a custodian for Silvergate's Bitcoin collateralized leverage loans. To be clear, our relationship with FTX is limited to deposits. And again, my apologies, I said $445 billion a month. It is year to date, $445 billion. So here's how, the network, Silvergate's network, their clients allows them to send dollars and euros 24 hours a day. They are the key driver for growth for the bank. And this has kind of been their volume. And you can see it's just kind of gone down from 191 billion in Q2 of this year to 112 billion in Q3 of this year.
So I looked into Silvergate, and at least their exposure to risk in this market, and they're not giving out big institutional loans. That's not what they're known for. They're basically the liquidity provider for on and off ramps, and they are a fractionalized bank, or a bank that works in a fractionalized reserve system, and so they don't have all cash on hand, and so the same thing that happens with any bank. Especially like real banks, like I don't mean like the crypto environment banks, but if there's a run on the bank, there's you can just say the same thing about Bank of America. Like you say the same thing about Wells Fargo. If all of a sudden all people go to withdraw, not gonna have funds on hand. That's just the way that our system works. This being no different. And so they don't have any downside risk when it comes to leveraged debt that they're not going to see anymore because they haven't lent out money, and they're just the liquidity provider. Unless there's a run on crypto exchanges for converting to fiat, you're not exposed to any catastrophic risk. And so I think that the people that are scared in crypto are removing their Bitcoin from exchanges, but they're not selling their Bitcoin. Now there has been forced liquidations through institutions. There also are novice retail investors that have been shaken out of the market. But I think in its entirety, I mean, the market cap sitting at $800 billion on crypto. I think we are getting to a bottom when it comes to the market cap as well. And I don't think that people are going to exit crypto in its entirety. And so if your premise is that, hey, their stock is down, there's a potential for a catastrophic failure in Silvergate, it really only comes to that scenario only plays out if people abandon crypto and sell everything. Not to mention that there is tons of tax implications. So if you were to sell all your crypto and put it into fiat, you got to pay taxes on all gains. Yeah. And so I've heard the arguments of this, and I've done the research, and it's just it's something to talk about, but it's realistically, I'm telling you, and not to mention, even if there was a run on the banks, they still have the federal government that protects against run on banks. And so the likelihood of this scenario going completely explosive. I don't see. I think more likely is other exchanges having malpractice and misappropriation of funds, and there being downside exposure for a crypto market for those explosions versus a bank that's protected by the federal government that has not leveraged debt into the crypto ecosystem in the form of massive billion-dollar loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably also just lower expectations for revenue over the next 2 years after this big blow up, right?
100%.
Crypto's kind of, at least in the mainstream, there's not a constructive narrative to bring in additional investors and additional demand right now, unfortunately.
True. I want to give a shout out to Marky Mark. $20 super chat said, finishing up a great week of shows with Forrest. Just awesome. Thank you, Sin City. Mark, we appreciate you. You're one of our whale members. I want to pivot to some good news regarding. Huh?
No. Thanksgiving's next week.
I don't care.
No.
All right.
My favorite holiday.
Cardano is launching a self-regulated stablecoin that's set to launch in early 2023. So the Cardano ecosystem could have its first fully fiat-backed regulatory compliant stablecoin before the end of Q1 next year. The stablecoin will be called USDA. And no, we're not talking about the beef graders, right? They grade the steaks. Anyways, the stablecoin will be called USDA and shall be pegged on a 1-to-1 ratio with the US dollar. USDA is a part of Emergo's broader plan to expand Cardano's use cases. By the way, if you're not familiar with Emergo, they are Cardano's commercial arm of the Cardano blockchain, including some of the use cases: lending and borrowing services, crypto-based card payments, and bridges between traditional markets and decentralized apps. Following the launch of USDA, users will be able to tokenize their USD into USDA via credit cards, debit cards, wire transfer, or conversion of the ADA token. We have been huge fans of Cardano from the get-go, since we launched this channel. Just to give you perspective, and you hear Charles say this all the time, we are not a VC coin. I got Near Protocol pulled up. Look at their token sale. ICO, right? 1, 2, 3 ICO. Then they had 3 separate funding rounds. FTX Ventures, Tiger Global, Three Arrows Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, Alameda Research, blah, 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 right? So they have a lot of VC backing. If we do the same for ADA and you take a look, we take a look at the same info, token sale, guys, no private funding, just an ICO. Just an ICO. And so are you more bullish on Cardano, Forrest, because of what we've seen going on with these VCs and how these VC-backed coins like Near Protocol, how, what might happen to them? Are you more bullish on coins like Cardano with what we've seen going on now, being they don't have a single dime of VC money in their system?
Yeah, I mean, look, VC money is a double-edged sword. It can be good, as we saw in the bull market. It can. When you take money from a VC, sometimes all you get is the money, but sometimes you get additional, networking benefits, the ability to plug into certain key players that can really help you grow as a protocol and onboard users. So, something that I've really hammered home and what really steers, a lot of my investments is how do you onboard users? It's all about onboarding users. So from, under the lens of what we've just seen with FTX and Alameda Research and some other VC funds, yes, absolutely. Being, not having any VC backing in this current market narrative is definitely a benefit. I at the same time, I don't think that having some VC backing is necessarily the worst thing, right? We see even just like in mainstream tech startups, like you see VC backed, tech startups. Sometimes it's a necessary evil and it can be helpful. But on the topic of the stable coin coming in for Cardano, let the Ponzi games begin. Let the DeFi begin. I think this is good for
Did you say
Cardano.
Ponzi games?
I think this is going to be DeFi's. I joke when you start injecting a stable coin into a cryptocurrency and you start getting all these DeFi protocols built, you end up with a lot of Ponzi's, a lot of DeFi Ponzi's, which is a bad thing, but also brings in a lot of users and are of a big onboarding of users. This could be that thing. This could be that thing that really helps Cardano onboard a bunch of liquidity, onboard a bunch of users, bring people in, which up until this point, stuff like, again, Solana not looking so hot right now, stuff like Solana and Matic and Ethereum and even Binance Smart Chain have had just a ton of users, a ton of transactions. This could be the awakening for Cardano. So I think this is great. I'm a big fan of, having a Cardano specific stablecoin.
Awesome, man. And, if it's true that they say they are going to be pegged 1-to-1, they are going to be federal. Well, I don't know if it's federally, but they're going to be regulated. Hey, man, we already have 3 stable coins in the top 10. Why not make it 4? But I was more curious as what was going to happen with their algorithmic stable coin, JET or the JET or whatever the hell the case may be.
I think that, my opinion, probably put on the back burner.
Yeah,
I think there would probably be a super slow rollout. I mean, if Cardano's implementation of forks and new technology tells you anything, especially now, I'm sure they've there's no speed to market on this one. I mean, I just think the adoption of it's gonna lack. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the Cardano stable coin, cracking the top 10. I mean, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I mean, Binance, the Binance BUSD is number 5 on the list. It was at number 4
US
last week.
Circle is about to flip Binance, dude. We're about to have 2 in the top 3.
Circle already did.
Circle flip Binance?
Yeah.
So now we have 2 stable coins in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And then go ahead.
That's stablecoins, like stablecoin market cap, like Tether market cap, especially in the early days, is a really good indicator for price action, right? Like, so if you see this, what's it going to be called? USDA. If you see USDA market cap, just, and people minting more USDA, depositing, real dollars, minting USDA, well, that's all being minted in the Cardano ecosystem. So that's really healthy. But that's liquidity that's being injected directly into the Cardano ecosystem. So you start seeing that market cap of USD start to skyrocket, start to build that logarithmic growth curve. That would be very bullish for Cardano. Just like in the early days, you see a bunch of Tether being printed. Even in this bull market, right? We saw just a ridiculous amount of Tether get printed, starts going up logarithmically, and then what follows is, all of that Tether. Where does it go? It goes to be, bought. It goes to buy Bitcoin. It goes to buy Ethereum. It goes to buy other cryptocurrencies, and that raises the market cap. So definitely something to watch.
On the stable coin and on the stable coin kind of conversation and its market dominance, there's this narrative kind of going around that stable coins will be at a larger market share than all of crypto in the future, just because of nation states or giant companies transacting and moving value through the form of stable coins, whether it's a CBDC or perhaps one of these private stable coins like Circle or Tether. Do you see that situation playing out? Do you think there's a likelihood that if you were to take all the stable coins and add them up, their market cap would be larger than, say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of the other layer ones and dApps put together?
That's interesting. I'd have to ponder that a little bit more, but probably it's completely possible, especially in a bear market, as you have capital pulled out. But also, I mean, maybe not. Maybe that's probably the base case, right? Especially if DeFi takes off. Like, look, you can get right now on a U.S. Treasury note. I haven't checked in a while. It's like 4 to 4.5% yield, risk free. But what happens when DeFi is more mainstream and there's far more confidence in the DeFi space, and it's gone from something that nerds are using to something that governments are using, and what happens when U.S. Treasuries are eventually issued on chain? So I mean, like, a a company holding their treasury in something like USDC or, this new stable coin USDA or another, maybe a government-backed stable coin, a government-run stable coin. I don't know. But eventually, people will probably hold large amounts of their treasuries in stable coins sitting, earning, 3.5%. Maybe not from lending protocols, but maybe, collateralized lending protocols like Aave, or maybe just, the U.S. Treasury. Maybe they'll have a DeFi app at some point. Essentially, U.S. Treasury is a lending protocol. It's just a centralized one issued
I'm
by
just
the
thinking
Fed.
about I'm thinking about like IKEA. Like if you have IKEA corporate headquarters over there in Sweden, and you're moving you're moving say a few $1 billion to build out your U.S. marketing or market, and you want to move $1 billion. Why pay all the fees and go through all the headaches if you can transfer that same value, in seconds for pennies versus days for percentage through wire transfers and ACH. So
You prefer seconds or pennies? Like, if I can add, if I can take you back 3 years in your life or give you $100 million, which one would you take?
makes no sense. Yeah. On to
Where are the crickets?
3 years.
we got so a couple things. We're not streaming next week, so or
Wait,
next Friday. Excuse me.
Thursday or Friday.
Announcement to the chat here. Thursday and Friday, so Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I treat Black Friday like a holiday here. So you will not you'll only get Sin City Crypto on Monday through Wednesday. And we'll be streaming a little earlier, 10 o'clock, because we got family in town. So make sure you don't miss us then.
Forrest, would you like to join us?
For Thanksgiving dinner?
Yes. You flying out to Vegas?
Which day?
Thanksgiving dinner. You're going to come to our house and my wife cooks a mean.
Oh, I have Thanksgiving plans, unfortunately, and I do have a $100 Frontier airline credit because they canceled our flight. So maybe soon I can come out and catch a flight out to Vegas.
Bro, you come
Never
to
flying
Vegas,
Frontier
man?
again though if I can help it.
Do not no Frontier, no Spirit, bro. Fly Southwest, fly fly all that.
Delta.
Guys, please go give Forrest a follow on Twitter. Rocco, will you put up his Twitter handle, please? At 0xstacker. He puts up great Twitter threads. He puts his trades on there. Also, go follow him on YouTube, Crypto Stackers Pro. The link to that is in the description of this video. Forrest does join us every single Friday. And so, Forrest, as always, my friend, thank you so much. We've missed you, and we look forward to bringing you back on again next week.
Not next week, the following week.
Oh, the following week. Sorry.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry.
You watching football on Thanksgiving or what?
We watching the real football. The World Cup, baby, Sunday. If you're excited for the World Cup, put a 1 in the chat. I am so excited. My kid is dumb excited. This dude went, I'm like, he wrote the schedule down on a piece of paper. I'm like, you do know it's just right there on the TV. He's like, no, but I want to write it down and I want to make sure. So anyways, yeah, put a 1 if you're excited for the World Cup. I know Robin is. I know I am. Are you excited for the World Cup for us?
I don't pay attention to the World Cup. I'm more, college football right now, hoping to go back to back, Georgia UGA. This is the hometown team, so that's my sports team right now.
Disappointed in you, Forrest. So we had a good show going here, and then you had to ruin it. Just kidding. Forrest, we appreciate you. Thank you so much again, and have a great Thanksgiving, my friend. And we will see you in the Monday video.
Eat a lot of turkey.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Rocco. Finger tornado, double finger tornado, because I didn't get a finger tornado last time. Friends, family, friends of family, and family friends. We thank you so much for joining us on this amazing Friday. To all the new community members, welcome to the Sinner community. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, support us by following us on social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Also, if you want some merch, check out the Sin City merch store.
Rocco,
Yeah.
on the way out, I'm just going to drop some names that I didn't get a chance to do when Rocco's in here. So
Love you guys.
Some Ola's here.
Have
we
a great
got,
weekend.
Crunk
See you Monday.
C. We got Tony Skoggs, Junior Giles. We got Juan de la Cruz. We got Leviulu. We got Jay Maynette, JD. We got Giga Chad, 5X Club, Leroy and 49, Seba Brown, Lobby C.
Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to take over names.
You got Samson Grinder, Andre Britz, Meet My Friend Rob, and then Hola! Let's see who else we got.
Put a one in the chat if you want David to
We
start
got
doing the
unavailable. We got David Digital up in here. We got Saeed A. We got 90 Below. Bolo. We got S Dog, Jay Daxon, Crunk C.
Whoa, Niami. Did you say Niami?
We got Tim Beckers.
I think that's the person that called out Alameda in July. Doesn't that look familiar? Is that her? Him or her?
I don't know. And then to all of you and Teddy Grizzly. Hola! We'll see you next week. 10 a.m. next week. Bye.
Pacific time. Bye.